Hey everybody, this is John Scarborough. Wanted to come at you again with another video on a follow-up the day after I rolled that bale out in this little washout spot covered in weeds. The washout's kind of down in here, and then the water would flow down in there, and then it would start washing out a little bit more around where them two trees are that you see down there. And it's not nearly as bad this year, like I said in the previous video, because it's a whole lot better. But what I wanted to show was the amount of weeds that were here. You can tell where the bale is, not only where the bale rolled down, but also where the cattle trampled. They trampled all of those weeds straight into the soil. Whereas many of those weeds would have been so woody next year, without a bush hog, those weeds would have been, they would have still been standing and possibly stunting the growth of some of the grass for the following year. So by doing this, especially over things like thistles and things like that, but even more woodier stuff like this right here, you can really help to bring down areas that you can't get a tractor and a bush hog into, or if you don't have access to a tractor and a bush hog. Like a lot of people say, as soon as you get cattle, you got to go get heavy equipment. You know, you got to spend all this money. Well, it is necessary eventually to have some kind of equipment, but it doesn't mean that it has to be right off the bat. It doesn't even have to be within the first couple of years, and I'm proving that right here. But anyway, I just wanted to show this. You can see how good they've trampled this down. I mean, you see the line right there. You can see it there, and then that right there. That all those weeds are standing. You know, and you can tell they hugged this side pretty good. But if I wanted to, I could easily take this entire little hill here, pretty rough hill. It's hard to tell just how rough it is on the camera, but I mean, this little spot where it was washing out really is a big dip down. Without a decent sized tractor, a fairly expensive tractor, it can be a little sketchy getting on some of these spots. It's not impossible at all. It's just time consuming. But by doing this right here, rolling this hay out, I'm feeding them. I'm trampling all of this and putting it all straight into the soil and allowing it to completely decompose, or mostly decompose, and turn into a good carbon source for next year's growth. Anyway, so this is just kind of a little bit of a follow-up of the previous video. And you can see here, you can kind of tell more on this side where it was washing out. It was actually smooth ground, and then it started turning into more of a washout, and then I put hay over it, and it's kind of starting to heal back up a little bit. And you can tell if you come down here, it was coming around this tree, and if I would have let it keep happening, even this big oak would eventually have given away and fallen down. And I like trees in my pasture. And then you can see down in here, it started coming on down, and this is where it really started dropping down. The farther it got, the more the water was, the more the impact was, and then the more it would drop even worse. But we didn't even roll hay on this. We rolled hay up there. But simply by slowing it down up there and then moving the cattle to where they weren't staying here, allowed this spot right here to completely grow back over on its own. And you can see how bad the washout was. I mean, it's all the way down inside there. But we're pretty well covered with organic matter. And it's not to say that some of it won't wash out again this year. Sometimes it can take a few years. But you can see down in here, before we got to the creek, I mean, this is where it was really starting to get the blunt edge of it. It was getting really bad. And then right down in here is the creek where it was headed to. If you can see it, you can kind of see that water down in there. So eventually what it would have done over time is turned all of this into creek. But it would have taken out those trees. They would have taken out lots and lots of topsoil. It would have taken away the ability to get back into this area at all with a tractor and do anything. And it would have taken away good grazing land. So just simply by a couple different management techniques, like looking at what your property needs, I mean, I didn't do anything extra that I wouldn't have already done. I was already going to feed hay. I was already going to have to take care of these weeds, and I was going to have to do something about this washout. But I did it all in one go, and what I did was allowed the cattle to do it for me. So anyway, just a follow-up video on strategically placing your hay. Thanks everybody. Don't forget to subscribe.